Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Carlos, and I am back with another video. And in this video, we are going to be looking at ChatGPT again, and we're going to be looking at how to use it to role play to prepare for an interview. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. The prompt that I typed out for this was, I would like for you to role play with me and act as an interviewer at Microsoft for an instructional design position. So let's look at what ChatGPT said after I asked it to role play and act as an interviewer at Microsoft for an instructional design position there. It says, sure, I can act as an interviewer for an instructional design position at Microsoft. Let's imagine we're in a virtual interview setting, and I'll start with some typical questions to get to know your experience and approach to instructional design. Let's get started. So, ChatGPT, when it first started this, I was like, whoa, what the heck is going on? But it gave me a lot of questions to get this thing started out with. This video is really for high school students, college students who have little to no experience with interviewing. Anybody can use this video, to figure out how to use ChatGPT to role play for an interview. But I started out with the first question that it gave me here. Hello, thanks for joining us today. To start, could you briefly introduce yourself and share a bit about your background and experience in instructional design? So I started with this because this is basically how almost all interviews are going to start out. But we can see here, you can pause this and take a picture or just look at some of the other questions that it gave us that we could have started with. So the second one says, great, thanks for sharing that. Could you tell me about a project that you worked on, particularly proud of? What was your role, and what were the outcomes of that project? And I will say that for people who, have interviewed a lot or are confident with the tell me about yourself type of question, then you might not want to start with that first question, even if you don't have that much interview experience. You might want to just start with one of these other questions. So again, we're going to move on with the first question. Here is my response. Hi, I'm excited about the opportunity to interview with you today. My name is Carlos, and I am a lifelong learner and training enthusiast. I have worked for several different companies as an instructional designer, notably Disney, Deloitte, and Discover. Over the years, I have used the ADDIE model to build out various e-learning training programs and traditional IoT and VIoT training materials. So, ChatGPT came back and says, nice to meet you, Carlos. It was great to hear that you've had such a diverse background in instruction design. I wish interviewers would actually say that to me. Could you tell me a bit more about your role at Disney? What type of instructional design projects did you work on there, and what were some of the unique challenges you encountered? And so I'm just going to readerize this stuff for you all. Well, going forward. But here we can see ChatGPT. I always kind of give you these little um, feedback blurbs, or we're not responsible for the information blurbs, but this time it was more of a feedback blurb. Feel free to elaborate on your role and experiences at Disney and share any specific projects or challenges you faced. If you'd like to continue with the interview, you can respond and I'll ask more questions to keep the conversation going. So again, this is truly a role-playing situation. Here is not predetermined. So you can see here, I say while I worked at Disney, I worked for the global marketing and sales department, and that include theme park resorts, cruise lines, and call center. My main project was developing a e-learning for ticketing cast members at the front entrance of the park to help them upsell tickets. And I said that one of my main challenges was figuring out how to branch a large number of guest responses in the scenario. And then it says, that sounds like an exciting project, Carlos. Working with a large amount of branching in a gamified context can be quite complex. And then they wanted me to walk them through the approach that I took to solve or resolve this issue. One thing that you all can notice here is that my answers are kind of short. You probably wouldn't want to give an answer this short in an interview, especially with something as complex as what I mentioned. But it worked out well in this case because I am going to use ChatGPT to give me feedback on how I can improve my responses. But you see here that I basically just said I use Excel. I create 3 different spreadsheets, one for the responses, one for the scenes, and then a third one for mapping out the responses and the scenes and how that flow would work. Still didn't give a whole lot of details there. Partly is because that's not what I did. That's not what I did for that project. And they said that's a smart approach. Using spreadsheets to map out the flow of your course is a great way to maintain the structure and organization, especially with complex branching. Could you describe any feedback or data that you collected to measure the success of this e-learning module? Now, by the time I had, or this project had been completed, I had my internship at Disney had ended, and my boss finished the project. But this was a perfect time for me to end the role playing scenario here. And what I did was I went in here and I asked ChatGPT, can you now give me feedback on how I can improve my responses? And of course, ChatGPT was able to do that for me. And they said, of course, here's some suggestions for improving your responses. Focus on providing more context, highlighting specific achievements, and showcasing the impact of your work. So the first thing that they said was provide more detail. Now, when you're doing this, I know typing takes longer than just talking to somebody. But if you are practicing, you might want to try to type out as much as you can. Um, or if you have the opportunity or the capability of like text to speech, if you're using your phone, that might be even better than sitting at your computer and typing this stuff out. But it says your responses are clear, but you could have added more context to help the interviewer understand the scope and complexity of your work. For example, when describing the project at Disney, mention the size of the team you work with, the techniques you use, and any specific challenges you face besides the branching structure. The other thing that they said that I could have improved upon was highlighting the impact and the outcome, showcasing problem solving and innovation. That is the third thing that they told me that I could work on. Number 4, connect with the company's values and goals. We talked about this in both the books, aligning your goals with the company's goals and making sure that you are a good fit for the company based upon the goals and their mission statement. Focus on team collaboration. Again, using myself as an instructional designer in this whole scenario that we've been going over here. Instructional designers, I will say this, they are individual contributors. So we do a lot of our work alone, isolated, but we do have to work and collaborate with other people. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to go through and read this example improve response. If you want to, you can go and pause the video again and, review it yourself to kind of like see what ChatGPT might give you if you were to give a response that they think that you might need to improve upon. But again, make sure that you are very specific with what you want ChatGPT to do when you're doing this. Make sure that you're specific in the type of role you want ChatGPT to assume. So it isn't just a search engine. ChatGPT isn't just like going to Google and asking it a question. Like you can really get some pretty good feedback and training. I think this is a great way to practice interviewing. Before we had these AI chatbots, you would have to go to a career center or go to a career coach or like an interviewing specialist to get this type of training or feedback. If you're in college, they might tell you to practice in front of a mirror, to practice with a family member or a friend, but that's all great and dandy. But if they're not experts in the field or knowing what type of things a company looks for, like the innovation that they talked about here with Microsoft, then that's not really going to help you a lot when you're going into a interviewing process. You're just going to have a very general sense of training or a very general training exercises with these people. So you want to make sure that you are specific with the company that you want to work for and the role that you want to or that you are applying for. You can even be more specific if you know the department that you are going to be working in, because Microsoft is a big company. So I say it an instructional designer, but is that training for Windows? Is that training for Xbox? Am I training people at Microsoft on, Xbox Live stuff on the back end? Or am I training customers on the front facing end on how to use a new feature in Xbox Live or the new interface in Xbox Live? So are you creating training for, some new device like the Connect when it came out? Are we creating training around that? So a lot of different things. So be specific if you know the department or the business unit that you're going to be working within. Include that in there as well. Um, that's it for this video. Make sure that you all like, subscribe, share this with anybody that you know who's like just might be graduating, don't have a lot of experience with interviewing. People, heck, who you know that have been working for a while and they've been out of the interviewing game for a minute and they might need brushing up on their interviewing skills. Follow me on all social media at Career Insights 501 on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. I'm thinking all major social media platforms. And check out my website, www.careerinsights501.com. And that's it for me, you all. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all learned something. And until next time, keep your dreams in sight. Peace out.